Jets at noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Hello. How's it going, Jim Toth?
Happy Wednesday. Clap on, clap off. Let's go. Good. How are you?
Good. Gabe Vilardi is going to be joining us after 12:30. Looking forward to having him on the show and expand on some of his thoughts he had on Monday.
Live.
During his opening conversation after he signed his 6-year, $45 million deal.
You know what we rarely ask athletes when they sign this? What's it like having $45 million at 25 years old?
You know what?
You know what they answer? Well, I don't have it yet.
It's trickling in.
It's trickling in. It's a slow play.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the show as we're coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. Gabriel Vilardi, once again, will be joining us after 12:30. But first, happy to welcome on the co-host of the Kenny and Rennie Show, Sportsnet's Sean Reynolds on the program. Hey, Sean.
I'm doing great.
How you doing?
What? I'm the host. I'm not the co-host. I am the host of that program. Do not give Ken Weed any more due than he deserves. He's already trying to take too much.
I like the fight right there. I was going to add Hockey Night in Canada, but screw that. I am the host of Kenny and Rennie, so let's go.
Okay. Well, I won't ever make that. I won't ever confuse. I won't ever confuse that again. Sean, what do you think about the initial the signing of 6 years, 7.5 for Gabe Vilardi? I want to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I think it's just great for the Jets. It's another example of them kind of bringing a player in, allowing that player to see that the value of the Jets as an organization is they're really invested in their players and allowing their players to reach their full potential. Gabe Vilardi comes to Winnipeg from LA. He's already kind of established as a player that I think a lot of the league thought they saw a cap in that player, and the Jets saw something else, and the Jets were right, took him to a higher plane. Paid him with this last deal based on that plane, but also showed him that, if you want to come and be an impactful hockey player and you're Gabe Vilardi, the Jets and Winnipeg are a great place to do that. And in my mind, that's why when the season was wrapping up, he had said, we're going to get this deal done. It'll get done. And it gets done. And now the Jets have locked down a really core piece of the team for a long time going forward.
What do you make of the loss of Nick Ehlers, both on the ice and off? I know you've talked to Nick this past season, and I heard on Kenny and Rennie, and as you host that, by the way. But like you've had some real good conversations. Obviously, on the ice, we want to get your perception of the loss of a Nick Ehlers, but off the ice as well.
So off the ice, I had thought going into this year that Nick Ehlers, this past season, that Nick Ehlers was already gone. I had felt from conversations that I'd had with him that there was a feeling that, different from a player like Gabe Vilardi. I think the Jets do a very good job of kind of plumbing the depths of every player on their roster's abilities. I don't think they did that with Nikolaj Ehlers. I think, a conversation that I'd had with him that was just a little bit, it got me thinking in this direction was when Kyle Connor had been injured playing against Anaheim, not last season, but the season before. Nick Ehlers went up onto that line, that top line with Mark Scheifele and Gabe Vilardi, and they just shot the lights out. It had seemed strange to me that I hadn't really had a book on how Nick Ehlers played with Mark Scheifele before that, and that was because they hadn't really played together. And it's kind of not like most other teams. You would see that when you've got a top six, for one of the top six wingers to have not really played with the top center on that team. And what that told me was Nick Ehlers had gotten the message that just the cap for him was second line. As good as he was when he got up to the first line, he wasn't going to get any more of those opportunities. So I felt going into last season, Nick was pretty much set on the idea of going to another place that would be more likely to explore his potential further up the lineup than here in Winnipeg. I think what they lose with him on the ice is very significant, to be honest. I always said, Nick Ehlers is a zone entry in a can, right? Crack the top and you're in. And that is a vastly important skill to have in this league. And so his speed backs people off. He's great on the power play. We know that. I think the thing where they're really going to miss him is the Jets are a really good comeback team. You know, the greatest moment of this season is obviously Cole Perfetti scoring that goal with, on the clock at that time, 1.6 seconds left to extend their season and help get them past the St. Louis Blues. If you go back and look at all of these comebacks that the Jets have had over the years, you'll find quite often Nick Ehlers is central to those. And one of the reasons is because he's so fast, because he can gain zone entry, and because when he does so in a way that the defense kind of has to back off into a defensive position, back off into the middle of the ice. We all know how good the Jets are at working the puck around the boards and confusing their opponent until they can throw it to the front of the net and boom, it's in the back of the net. That all starts with Nikolaj Ehlers typically setting that up. And I think, you know, if you think of some of those power plays where a team's trying to get into the zone and they keep getting denied at the other team's blue line and the puck keeps getting sent back down the ice, that has a real potential to stall teams, and I think that's where we're going to see the loss of Nikolaj Ehlers most. That when it used to look like it was just automatic for the Jets to get in, set up, and start applying pressure, that's going to get a lot harder without Nick Ehlers.
Why do you think the perception was that his cap was the second line?
I don't think, to be honest, I think it's just, you know, it's plain and it's out there in front of us. I mean, I remember back in the day when Patrick Laine was here and Blake Wheeler had been injured, and Patrick Laine moved up onto that line, and I think we all just thought at that time Patrick Laine was nothing but, you know, a scoring machine. And then all of a sudden he started really adapting his passing game, and when he was on that line, all of a sudden Kyle Connor was the highest scoring player on the Jets, the goal scoring player. And we talked to, you know, Patrick Laine would joke about, hey, you know, I'm a passer now, I don't like it one bit, but if you remember, he fit really nicely into that line, and then Blake Wheeler came back, and Mark Scheifele, the team's de facto number one center, and kind of the guy that they've been building this team around since 2011, to be honest, had said, you know, these are my favorite players to play with, Blake Wheeler and Kyle Connor. And then when Blake Wheeler left and Gabe Vilardi came in, that switched to Gabe Vilardi. I don't think that there's a lot of people, I don't think the coaching staff thinks that Nikolaj Ehlers was capped. I think that in trying to keep their number one center happy, Mark Scheifele knows who he wants to play with. I think he's vocal about who he wants to play with. And so I just think, unlike a lot of other teams, there's a little bit of a first line that likes to play together, locks in, they like that consistency. And it just meant that Nikolaj Ehlers just wasn't invited to that party because spots were already taken.
I'm of the belief that things might not be done here in Winnipeg, but whether that player is here now or will be acquired somehow or coming in, who do you think takes that spot on the left side on the second line?
I think it's, again, this is one of these things that I think has been said out loud, but I think that line ends up being Jonathan Toews, Gustav Nyquist, and Cole Perfetti. And I know that from conversations that we've had with Kevin Cheveldayoff, they really believe, you know, we're talking about the belief in the ceiling that they saw for Gabe Vilardi. The Jets have been really good at bringing in players and saying, we think we see this and that we can get that out of that player. The Jets think they can get the Gustav Nyquist of 2 years ago when he was playing with the Nashville Predators before they added all that talent last season. And as I was told by people within the Predators organization, Gustav Nyquist seemed to kind of take a back seat, and they didn't want him to. They thought they brought in players like Marchessault and Stamkos to support him, and instead he thought that means I got to get out of the spotlight here and let these guys in, and that kind of worked adversely against him. I think the Jets really believe that they can get that Gustav Nyquist of 2 years ago. If they can, he had a phenomenal year, was a phenomenal player. A lot of the games, if you go back and watch that year that he played against the Jets, I thought he was one of the best, if not the best player on the ice in some of those games. So to me, I think that's first and foremost. Now, in practice, you know, what Jonathan Toews is going to look like, what Nyquist will look like, how Cole Perfetti fits in with those players, that all stuff all has to be figured out But I would think if the Winnipeg Jets were being honest with you and showing you what their lineup looked like, that lineup would look like, that second line would look like Nyquist, Taves, and Perfetti.
What do you think the remaining RFA, Dylan Samberg, what do you think his contract's going to look like?
Ooh, well, I have been on record numerous times as saying when Dylan Samberg went down to injury that I thought over the last season and the season before that, his absence would be the absolute toughest for the Winnipeg Jets to cover off. I think they've found a real connection between he and Neil Pionk, and so we've seen this Neil Pionk elevate his game over the last couple of years, especially over this last season. I don't think that's a fluke that it just happened to happen beside Dylan Samberg, who is just so great defensively. I think he's a really important player. When he did go out last season, you saw that the Jets' winning percentage went from like close to 800 to down to about 550 or something like that, or their points percentage. He's an important player. His agent is going to know that this is the kind of player that the Winnipeg Jets drafted, developed. He's the model of what they want in Winnipeg. Draft a guy, turn him into what they think he can be, and go forward. So they want to keep him around for a long time. I think Dylan Samberg wants to be around for a long time. I think they can help make things work like that. But I would think if I was his agent, I would definitely want a contract to start in the 6 range. Dream scenario, maybe the 7 range. That's a lot for a guy who doesn't get a lot of points. But to me, I take a look at Dylan Samberg. I think he's Jacob Slavin 2.0. Really great, really important player. And if the Jets can get him locked down long term, that's really going to steady their blue line for years to come.
So, Sean, can I ask something a little personal?
Yes.
My aunt, she tells me after I met Michelle's, well, she's Hofer now, but she would have been Zerban at the time. In Pinawa, she said she used to babysit you when you were a little kid.
Okay, this is, my parents must have been absolute delinquent parents, because I've got stories of like 15 different people babysitting me. So they were out and about all the time, or babysitting cost like $1 an hour back in those days. Yeah. And they were just getting out on the golf course or going swimming and leaving the kids behind. But I hear that story often. I know some of them. Don't believe any of the stories you hear about them. I've matured since those days.
Well, this is what I wanted to get to. So you're well aware of the rivalry between Lac Du Bonnet and Pinawa, correct?
Yes, of course.
So
yes.
My Aunt Michelle is hardcore Pinawa. Boo, Lac Du Bonnet. Where do you stand? Because I think you have a relationship with both places.
This got real aggressive.
Yeah, and it better be the right answer, Sean.
So this is going to be. I'm not a Ken Weeb. I'm not a fence rider. I usually like to take a position here. Okay.
Ironically, before you answer, when I asked Ken Weeb if he wanted to go to Def Leppard, he said, "I'm already going to have to babysit Sean Reynolds."
There you go, and I forced him to do exactly that. So I'm glad that he knew what he was signing up for. I went to Pinawa up until grade 5 at W.B. Lewis School, which is a business center now. It's not even a school anymore. And then I switched to Lac Du Bonnet for high school, where my dad was ended up being the vice principal. I'm a perfect hybrid. I was out this last week in Hecla Island golfing with my boys from Pinawa. I head back to Lac Du Bonnet. The Pinawa boys were kind of a more, because of the nuclear reactor out there. Everyone I grew up with, they were like nuclear physicist kids and stuff like that. And then when I went to Lac Du Bonnet, they were truckers kids. So I think the Pinawa guys kind of set a high bar for you to try and, I went to university after, I did all of these things. But the Lac Du Bonnet boys keep you honest, and they taught you how to shotgun a beer kind of thing. So I'm rooted by the Lac Du Bonnet boys. I'm elevated by the Pinawa boys, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm a lucky guy to have the influence of both towns.
We'll take that, Sean. Sean Reynolds, Sportsnet, host of Kenny and Rennie.
Let's get into the babysitting situation. Was
no, that's all the time we have.
Aunt ever hammered while she was supposed to be watching?
That's as far as we can go. Sean, appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Let's go. Let's return.
Did Auntie ever have a couple cognacs?
We don't need to get into that. Like I said, we got to move on. Gabriel Vilardi will be with us right after 12:30. Don't go anywhere.
On 680 CJOB.
Call the Boston Pizza Jets at noon hotline, open 24/7, 204-780-6800. Come in for lunch every weekday to Boston Pizza. Set a delicious main side and ice cold drink for only $15 only at BP. The number one caller will be awarded a gift certificate to Boston Pizza on Friday. Yeah, decision. The judge will be issuing that decision on Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Alex Formanton, Dylan Dubé, and Cal Foote tomorrow. I don't think you're necessarily saying you're looking forward to a ruling, but I'm curious to see what's going to happen tomorrow.
Do you think, regardless of the ruling, they play again, any of them, in the NHL? I think.
See, if the ruling is one way or another, if they are found not guilty, then I unfortunately believe some of them will end up somewhere. Because if they're not guilty, they're not guilty. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of it.
I think,
regardless of what I believe actually happened.
Yeah, I mean, we can't.
Yeah,
we have our own beliefs on what we believe happened, but what actually is ruled, I think that not guilty. I think some of them will play again. I just don't know if it'll be in the National Hockey League.
We'll be right back. Jets at Noon brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line to win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later in the program as we're coming at you live from the Boston Pizza Studio for gourmet pizza and pasta. Bring the team to Boston Pizza. Jim, let's get our next guest on the show.
Let's get a little Boston Pizza. Let's go wash our car at Wash Method and bring in Gabe Vilardi with his new contract.
Hey, Gabe, how are you?
Doing great, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. It's been a couple days. How does it feel?
Feels good. Yeah, it feels good. No, not much changes, honestly, for me. Still just keep working on in the summer program here.
Now that you're locked up for 6 years here with the Winnipeg Jets, do you see yourself as a leader, or do you believe that there's only a few leaders in a locker room? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think coming out of last year, something I talked with management and Arnie about is I did want to become more of a leader moving forward. I don't. I'm still kind of young, I guess, 25, but I don't feel very young anymore. But it's something I look forward to challenging myself a little bit more and trying to be a little bit more vocal and becoming more of a leader, I'd say.
And Gabe, you've never sounded young. Like even when you were traded here, you were quite open and honest about the trade. And we were asking about Winnipeg. Does that deter you at all? And you said, look, it was nice going to the beach after practice, but I'm a hockey player and I want to win. And so you speak like you've is that the injury? Is that the kind of ups and downs in this early part of your career as a 25-year-old that has you maybe a little bit more advanced than the average 25-year-old who hasn't gone through some stuff around the game?
Yeah, I'd say so. Absolutely. I give you credit kind of for knowing that. Not a lot of many people would think like that, but I do. Absolutely. I feel like I've learned a lot more than, a lot of guys my age because of those injuries and those early setbacks. It does force you to mature a bit, not earlier than you'd want, but just the reality of life, I guess. And, as much as those things sucked at the time, back in 2018, 2019, when I wasn't playing much hockey, I do look back at that and sometimes I'm grateful, all the things I learned and, put my body in a better position, I guess.
What's the best piece of advice in terms of that you got?
I don't know if it was advice. I'd say it's just, the way I was raised, I think, just from my parents being, first generation moving to Canada, such hardworking people. They always just taught me the value of hard work. And, if you work hard enough, nobody can stop you. And kind of the mindset I've always had. It was nice having an older brother growing up. Everything he did, I did, and I would do double. If he did an hour of training, I did 2 hours of training. So I think it's just the work mindset kind of thing.
That's interesting because we were joking before we brought you on, and I'm like, we should ask him what it's like to have $45 million. But every time I ask a player that, they're like, well, I don't have it yet. It's trickling in slowly. But I mean, given your parents' background, I know it doesn't change for players when they're playing, right? The contract's great, you're happy with it, but it's about winning and you keep putting the work in. But I mean, it resonates a little different when you have parents who are immigrants and work hard for you to sort of not only make the NHL, but achieve this next contract.
Yeah. So wait, what's the question? What do you mean? Like,
well, I just
parents?
No, I just mean like you get all, it's life-changing money. And it's generational money. And I know as players that are currently active, they focus just on the game and the contract's nice. But have you in the past couple of days just took a step back and had a conversation with your parents, like all they've done and how hard they worked and now how hard you've worked, especially through the injury, to earn such a big deal? Like it's I would say a sense of pride for your whole family, not just you.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't really taken a step back and really chatted with them about it, but I think, definitely I know and they know, it goes without saying, all the days and nights spent, working extra hard, them, giving up the family vacation or whatever it was growing up, just giving all their money to me and my brother to support our hockey aspirations it's pretty incredible looking back on how much they gave up for me and my brother. It's a fairly common thing, though. At least here where I'm from, I feel like all my friends, our parents are everything to us. So it is a substantial amount of money, and I look forward to giving it back and making sure everyone in my family is set up for the coming years and that. At the same time, I'm not someone who necessarily spends a lot of money, so I think having this money, I can save it, and one day whenever I have kids, make sure they're set. That's kind of my mindset. But foremost, I'm a hockey player. I'm grateful and I'm proud of making $7.5 million, whatever people think I'm worth. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change much for me. I still want to go out there and perform and win. So that's my first thought.
We'll get into the hockey, but that's another reason I kind of like you being a Jet, Gabe, is ever since you come here, you're a straight shooter. Like you said, what's the question? Like that's a statement. I mean, like that's kind of, have you always been sort of direct like this? And does that come from your parents as well? Because I enjoy watching your interviews because you it's not a cliche with you. You interact with the reporter and you interact with what you're talking about.
Yeah. I don't know. A few people have told me that since I've mostly the media guys in Winnipeg, like Brownie and them, have told me that. I don't know. I think I'm just someone who I have a tough time holding in my words. I think and then I say it, and sometimes it gets me in trouble, and other times it doesn't. But that's kind of my mindset and how I am growing up with my friends, with my family, with everyone. I don't really change. And it's kind of fun to work with the media guys. They're pretty funny to mess around with sometimes. So I get a kick out of it low key.
That's definitely true. When you're getting ready to sign something like this, you're getting close. Do you hear from teammates? Or is it more after the fact?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's, leading up to it, it was all last year. It's different guys. When Pionk signed his contract, when Al signed his contract, Vladdy. It's all just. Not for jokes, but we're all pretty lightheaded, and we all we all know we have a pretty fantastic job at the end of the day. So the money is obviously awesome, but just coming in and being able to play a game for work is something that we all dreamed of growing up, and we're able to achieve it. And a lot of kids, and a lot of people out there would love to be in our situation.
Let's get into the hockey. Like the 6 years was bantered about. We even wondered if it would be a bridge deal, if it would be something else at your age, and how much free agency you'd want to give up. But then we also talked about, number one line, highest scoring line in the regular season, playing with Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor, at least for another year, and I'm sure the Jets are hoping that he'll re-sign long-term extension. Power play, this is kind of a perfect situation for you when you think about when you came from LA and not knowing what the role would be to where you are right now. Did that weigh into you signing for 6 years with the Jets?
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about it kind of in season. I talked with Mark a lot about this type of stuff, and the grass isn't always greener. That's what a lot of people think. And I love being in Winnipeg. I've been given, like you said, a lot of opportunities since I came here, a lot of opportunities that I didn't really get in LA, and I'm super grateful for that. And I love playing with Kyle and Mark, and I think we've kind of shown people what we can do, and I think we still have a a lot more to prove as well. So I think the main thing for me was just I want to win, and I truly believe we have the team and the pieces to do that.
Where do you feel greater pressure to succeed? Is it internal? Is it from your teammates, or is it from the public?
Everything kind of plays on you. You can say it doesn't, but at the end of the day, everything does. I think for me, the biggest one I'd say is internal. I think just I've given up my whole life to be a hockey player and to, prove to myself that I can be one of the best players and I can, win a Stanley Cup and all these things. So I think that's where most of my pressure, I'd say, comes from, the inner drive to always be better and never be satisfied.
How do you,
at the same time, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, you were talking about 40 goals, 50 goals. That's not going to be good enough, right? So they must be on those same lines.
I don't want people to hold that. That's the thing. They take it out of context.
Yeah.
He was like, "What's your ceiling?" And it's like, in my head, I meant it more as I don't believe in ceilings. It's like, if I score 50 goals, okay, great. But the next year, it's like, okay, what's next? Let's go. We got to get 55 goals. It's like it's not that I'm saying I envision scoring 50 goals or 60 goals next year. That's not what I meant at all.
Yeah. No. So do you believe in analytics? Do you work on that sort of thing, or is this more something you work through with coaches? Do you look at data? Are you driven into that sort of area?
I am a little bit. I kind of got into it in LA my last year, the year before I got traded. I got more into the analytics. I think it's very easy to read into the analytics and assume a player is playing bad or playing good. I think the eye test definitely plays more. At the end of the day, I think you ask any player, they know when they're playing well. They don't need to look at analytics. They don't need to watch their shifts. They don't need to do any of that. They can come out of the game and, say, I played a pretty solid game, or, I didn't have it tonight. And I like to watch more video than dive into analytics personally.
Let's get into the winning part of it. This is a team that finished fourth 2 years ago in the National Hockey League, second in the West. This year they win the President's Trophy. They get to the second round. What will it take, do you think, in your mind, to sort of get over that hump? And as you said, I think a lot of Jets fans would think this is a 2 to 3 year window where you can contend for the Stanley Cup. What's different this offseason so far, and how do you feel about this upcoming season with the chance to win?
I think we were there last year. I think we just really had a tough time scoring against Dallas. I think everyone gives us the question is what does Winnipeg do? They always fail in the playoffs, and it's kind of a tough question for me. I've been here for 2 years, and we lost in the first round to a really good Colorado team, and this year made to the second round. So in my opinion, that's progress, and we won the President's Trophy, obviously. I think the pieces are there, and we have the same coaching staff. I don't know if there's a specific answer I can give you that's going to say this is what's going to get us over the hump. I think we just got to keep doing the stuff we've been doing since for the past 2 years. We've been a top team in the league. I don't know what the analytics or what people are saying, but we've been contenders since I got here. So
yeah,
that's what I was kind of asking you, Gabe, because you're relatively new here, and people keep talking, since 2018, 2019, it's been a lot of early exits. I think in that conversation is lost of just how good this team has become over the last 4 or 5 years. And although not getting to the championship again this year, when you get into that second, third round, it's tough, right? There's a lot of parity in this league.
100%. That's what, in my opinion, makes the NHL one of the best leagues. Because any given night, anybody can win or lose. You look at our division, we got 3 teams that were arguably considered top 5 Stanley Cup winning contenders. I think it was us, Dallas, and Colorado. That's a tough division right there. So it's just the reality of the sport we play and why we love competing every night. It's tough to win. It's tough to win in this league.
Yeah, I mean, how much do you feel like it's just you have to get in there and then everything's got to come together?
I think so. I think timing plays a factor. This year we had all those injuries in the playoffs. It doesn't help. I think you look at a team like even St. Louis. You look at them last year. The struggles they have. They get Montgomery, and they're the hottest team after the break, and they give us an absolute run for our money in the first round. So it is a little bit of timing and luck. That's the reality of the playoffs.
What's the offseason look for you now? Look like, I should say.
Yeah, I was in California for about a month there, hanging out with my girlfriend and her family. Now I'm back home in Kingston. I spent some time in Calgary, but now for the most part, I'll just be in Kingston, just training and skating.
Well, enjoy the rest of the summer. We'll see you in September.
Oh, okay, guys. Good job.
Yeah, good job.
Yeah, good job to you, too.
Great job by you, Gabe. Thanks. We appreciate it. We'll have you back when the season starts. Enjoy the rest of the summer, and congratulations once again.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Bye. 204-780-6868, 204-780-6868.
One of my favorite quotes post-game is when Kelly Moore said, I think it was the day after, or a post-game or something, I don't know. And they said that, you did this, you did that, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, wow, you think I played well, eh? I didn't think that. Or something along those lines of, I mean, in this day and age of sports cliches and stuff, I really appreciate the open honesty from a player like Gabe.
He's
a great talker, great guy.
He's a straight shooter. And happy he's a part of the Winnipeg Jets for another 6 years. Let's take a break. Let's come back. 204-780-6868. Get your thoughts. Text the show, 204-780-6868. We still got to give away that VIP text from Washmith. What do you think of our conversation there with Gabe Vilardi? We'll be right back.
And Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, our VIP text goes to Brian, as we were talking earlier about the Ontario Superior Court Justice, who is expected to deliver a decision Thursday in the trial of Michael McLeod, Carter Hart, Alex Formanton, Dylan Dubé for what occurred inside a London, Ontario hotel room, and whether that constituted sexual assault or not. The texter Brian says, despite all the denials coming out of Edmonton, I'm betting Carter Hart ends up there found not guilty.
Well, I don't know. I don't know where, but I saw a couple of reporters in Edmonton say that this was a question that was brought up to the owners, maybe in the exit meetings, I don't know, or something after that. But they said no, they would not be, regardless of the decision, reaching out to Carter Hart. But look, this is different than Corey Perry, Evander Kane, but they are the organization that the minute somebody gets, no word of a lie, kicked off a team, like San Jose, we've heard reports that some of the guys in the exit meeting said, if he's here, then I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
With Kane, and Corey Perry lost his job in Chicago. His contract was terminated.
Mm-hmm. Boom,
the Oilers step in. Stan Bowman's there. Now, Joe Quenneville's back in Anaheim, and but I again, I'm a believer in second chances. What I think is a fair discussion is the length of the second chance and when you have earned it.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if he's found not, if you're found, we all know the details that came out.
Yeah.
Some of the details in that trial were not argued. This is what I did. This is what the victim says they did. But there were some things that we all can piece together that are fact that they are not arguing. Does that mean you're criminal liable of something? We're going to find out. But if you're not found criminal liable, I wonder if a team takes a shot. And unfortunately, Cam, we're in society where it would not. I would be surprised if a team did, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Well, I think in time. That's the thing.
They're running out of time at their ages.
Well, no. I'm saying in time, if there is a not guilty, we're going to find out tomorrow, and we'll discuss this more tomorrow.
I do think they play, but I don't know if it's in the National Hockey League.
Maybe,
I think Europe's waiting.
Maybe not.
KHL's waiting.
Yeah.
But I don't know if the National Hockey League team would want to, again, if not criminally liable. And let's not kid ourselves. I don't like to paint all hockey players like this. It's not even near, I think, half of them. But some hockey players, this is what goes on. Not all of them, and not the majority. I don't believe that.
Yeah.
But in the hockey world, when you're looking at this, it's not unheard of, unfortunately.
Jim Toth, take you all the way till 2 o'clock. Thanks very much, Jeffrey Fortier, for producing the show. We'll be back tomorrow. See ya.